You know that feeling when something really hurts, and instead of talking, you just go silent? Not because you want attention or to make a point, but because the words seem stuck somewhere you can't reach. If that's you, I want you to know something important. Your quietness isn't wrong. It's not a sign that you're broken or cold. There's a whole world of science behind why you react this way. And once you understand it, you'll see your silence in a completely new light. Most people call it shutting down. But researchers have found it's actually one of the most complex ways a person can respond to emotional pain. By the time we're done, you'll understand yourself better than ever before. Let's start with what people always get completely wrong. When you go quiet, they think you made a choice. Like you sat there, thought things over, and decided to give someone the silent treatment. They see it as a cold, planned move. But that's not what's happening on the inside at all. When emotional pain hits hard, something in your body just flips a switch. It's not dramatic. It's more like a door softly closing. Your chest feels heavy. Your thoughts tangle up. And forming a single sentence suddenly feels like trying to lift something way too heavy. That's not you being difficult. That's your body's built-in safety system kicking in. Scientists have known for a long time that when animals face danger, they don't just fight or run. Sometimes they freeze completely. Humans have that same deep wiring. When feelings become too big to handle in the moment, your brain hits the pause button. It slows everything down to protect you from being overwhelmed. There's even a part of your brain that handles speech, and studies show it actually gets quieter when you're flooded with emotion. So when someone stands in front of you saying, "Just tell me what's wrong," and nothing comes out, that's not stubbornness. Your brain has literally made speaking harder because it's busy doing something else, holding you together. You're not locking anyone out. You're keeping yourself from falling apart, and those two things are worlds apart. But you weren't born this way. No child comes into the world knowing how to go silent. Watch any small child who's upset. They scream, they cry. They let everything out with their whole body. They don't hold back. They don't worry about being too much. Something taught you to stop being that open. At some point, expressing your pain out loud began to feel unsafe. Maybe when you cried, you were told to stop being so sensitive. Maybe you trusted someone with your hurt, and they laughed or brushed it aside or threw it back at you later. Maybe you reached out for comfort and found nothing but coldness or lectures. So your young mind did something very smart. It learned a new way. It learned that keeping quiet was safer than speaking up, not because you stopped feeling, but because showing your feelings came with a cost. Psychologists who study early relationships have found that the way we handle emotional pain as adults often traces straight back to our first close bonds. If being open got you rejected or dismissed, your nervous system remembers that forever. It files away that lesson and uses it every time something new hurts. Even decades later with completely different people, your silence isn't a flaw. It's a survival trick your younger self built with love to keep you safe. And it worked. It brought you all the way here. Now here's something most people never see. When they look at your stillness, they think nothing is going on. But inside, your mind is anything but still. While the whole world around you is loud and demanding, you're actually thinking deeper and more carefully than anyone realizes. Studies that looked at what happens in the brains of people who go quiet under stress found that the areas tied to self-reflection, memory, and planning ahead become very active. Your quiet moment is actually one of the busiest mental states a person can be in. Inside that silence, you're asking yourself real questions. Did I do something that made this worse? Why does this feel so familiar? What do I actually want to happen next? If I open my mouth right now, will my words make things better or burn everything down? You're not running from the issue. You're checking every part of it before you say a single word. Because for you, speaking without understanding is dangerous. So you wait until you have something solid to offer. Most people see a calm surface and assume there's nothing deep underneath, but you know the truth. The quietest waters often hold the most depth. And there's another part of your silence that almost nobody recognizes. A part of it is about protecting the people you care about. If you're honest with yourself, you already know this. You go quiet partly because you know what lies at the bottom of fresh pain. You know that if you speak too soon, the words that come out won't be a conversation. They'll be sharp and messy and impossible to take back. So you hold it in. You wait. Not to punish anyone, but because the relationship matters too much to damage it with unfiltered hurt. In the world of psychology, there's this idea of an emotional sweet spot where real communication can actually happen. When you're too flooded with pain, you're miles outside that zone. Nothing productive gets said. Nobody truly hears. You figured this out early, even if no one ever handed you the words for it. Your silence, as uncomfortable as it may be for others, is often the most loving choice you can make. You're not avoiding a hard talk. You're waiting until you're actually capable of having it without hurting someone you love. So what does help someone like you open up? Not pushing. Pushing makes it worse. When people follow you from room to room, demanding you talk right now, it confirms every quiet fear you've ever had. That your way of dealing with pain isn't okay. That your feelings only count if you express them fast and on command. What you actually need is the exact opposite. Patience without pressure. Someone who can sit in the same room with your stillness and not make it about themselves. Someone who trusts you'll come back when you're ready. Research backs this up completely. When people who process feelings internally get space and calm from others, they open up far more. Not because they were forced, but because finally it felt safe enough to try. You're not asking anyone to read your mind. You're simply asking them to believe that your quiet time isn't rejection. It's just your way of finding your way back. And the people truly meant to stay in your life will learn that. And here's something that doesn't get said nearly enough, because you don't speak until you're truly ready. When you finally do say something, your words carry real weight. You've turned them over again and again. You've checked them for truth, for fairness, for kindness. You don't throw things out just to see them land. You don't use your feelings as weapons. In a world where so many people say things fast and mean only half of it, you say less and mean everything. The people who have waited for your words know this about you. They know that when you say something matters, it honestly does. That's not emotional distance. That's emotional honesty. And that is a rare and powerful thing. You go quiet because you feel deeply and think carefully before you speak. That's not a problem to fix. That's a strength to honor.